Hey everyone, and happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a fabulous day today. I am Jill, the Wandering Stamper. I have had a cold all week, so I'm hoping my voice holds out for you today. But I really wanted to get this video done for you. We are going to make the coolest balcony card using the adorable Yuletide Village stamp set. It's super easy to make, and you can make any type of card using this fun fold. Look at your stamp stash. Look and see what would make a great stamp set for this balcony card, because there's so many other uses you can use it for. So let's take a moment to get the camera turned down and we'll get started. Thanks for joining me. All right, let's get started. So here are the items that we're going to be using in this video. We have the showcase of our card, which is the Yuletide Village stamp set. I love this stamp set. It doesn't come with dies, but they're super easy to cut out. I love the little houses, the church, there's snow, there's some garland. You could also flip the garland upside down and make it some kind of little yard decoration. There's a tree and there's a little brick wall. There's just so many things you can do with this. And using your alcohol markers, you can color these so pretty. So we're using that. And then we're also going to be using the Peaceful Seasons stamp set and the Greetings of the Season stamp set. Now I purchased these because I wanted a go-to holiday set that I could use together with all of my cards. And what I loved about them is both sets you can order coordinating dies, and these dies could be used all throughout the year. So you kind of can get use out of these all year, and I love that because sometimes, you know, Christmas is over and you're not using your products anymore, but you can still use these dies throughout the year. And there's also some sayings that you could also use, like the love from our home to yours, the love from my home to yours, all the best, cheer all year, in your heart. I mean, there's so many sayings in here you could use all year long. So this is a really great stamp set. And I also really love this Greetings of the Season. This is more focused for Christmas, but I love that it also has really cool dies that you'll use all year. So that as a bundle is valuable to me. But there's also, you know, wishing you a happy, you could use birthday from another set. You could use the words, you know, happy. There's actually a New Year. So if you send out New Year cards, there's to and from. You can use that all year. Love and joy. That would be a great wedding, a great anniversary. Even it's the most wonderful time of year. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas. So you can be creative with these and get lots more use than you think. And then finally, we're also going to be using this Falling Snow stamp. I love this stamp. It's a background image stamp, so it uses the very large block, and I've used it two ways. I stamped my sample card that I made to try to see how I like this card. I stamped it in Versamark white, or not Versamark, Whisper White craft ink, and it came out really pretty. And then the card that I'm going to show you right now, I actually stamped it in Versamark and embossed it in white embossing powder. I actually like that better because it's more vivid, but you can do it either way. And you can even do tone on tone stamping with it or whatever you want. So really fun use of that stamp. So let's get started. Oh, I'm also using some of this gorgeous cherry cobbler and gold ribbon. This is in the mini catalog, and I used Pool Party for my greetings, and then we're using Pool Party paper, crumb cake, and basic white. Now I did a lot of the cutting and I did all the coloring ahead of time because I have been sick. I didn't want this video to take too long because I haven't been feeling well and I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out. So I did want to show you these before we get started. These are really cool white loose snowflakes. Now I bought these thinking these are going to be fabulous to stick on cards as embellishments, but what I'm finding out, and I just wanted to give you this information, you try it out and see what you think, but these snowflakes are kind of thick and they're sort of foam. And they don't stick on the cards well. So I think these are better used as a shaker card, inside of like a shaker, or instead of actually using it as an embellishment on a card. I'm going to show you my first sample I did, but I think I'm going to use something different on the card we're making today. But these are really, really super cool. I just don't feel like they stick very well on the paper, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. All right, so to make this balcony card, you're going to, I've done my cutting ahead of time, so I'm just going to walk you through it. You're going to take a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock. I use basic white, and you're going to score it at 4.25. So it's just your standard card base. So I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder, and that's my card base. Simple, simple. All right, and then you're going to want to cut 3 pieces of crumb cake, and these are 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So you're going to want 3 of those. 1 is going to go on the outside, and 2 are going to go on the inside of the card. And to layer on top of that, you're going to want 3 pieces of Pool Party cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and those are going to be layered on top of your crumb cake. But what I already did was stamped them in like I mentioned, on Versamark ink, and then I embossed them using my heat gun. I just noticed I didn't finish embossing this little piece. Let me tell you, my brain has been mush. I don't get sick very often, so when I do, it kind of knocks me on my butt. So let me finish this up really quick using my very ancient embossing tool, embossing gun. I need to buy the new one for sure. But I just happened to notice one section that didn't get heated. So let me heat that really quick for you. And while we're heating that, I'll tell you, when you're heating these, it's very easy to tell, especially when you're using this white, it's very easy to tell where you didn't heat something because it really gets more white as it gets hotter. So those look good. I'm glad I noticed that. All right. So before you came on, like I mentioned, I stamped Versamark. I filled my falling snow. Let me just go through the steps. I took my Versamark ink and I stamped it up really well, and then I laid my paper down after I used my embossing buddy to get rid of all that static cling. You want to make sure you do that. And then I put my white embossing powder on there, ran my heat gun over it, and it just came out so pretty. I love how vivid the stars come out. So if you look at the stamp, the top portion of the stamp has a lot more snowflakes, and the bigger ones are at the top. And then when you get to the bottom, it kind of gets more sparse. So it gives that sense of falling from the sky. So you kind of want to lay them all that way. Okay? All right. So back to our instructions. So you had your base of 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. You have 3 pieces of your crumb cake, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then 3 pieces of Pool Party, 4 by 5 1/4. And then, of course, I embossed those ahead of time. All right, so now that we have those, we're going to also need 2 more pieces of basic white. These are our balcony pieces. I typically like to make these the same color as the base, but you can do it differently if you'd like. So our lower base, or our upper step, I should say, our upper step is 2.5 by 5.5, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 2 3/4 inches, and 5 inches. All right, and then your lower step is going to be 1.5 inches by 7.5 inches, and you're going to score this one at 1/2 inch, 3 3/4 inches, and 7 inches. Okay, so those are our balconies, and then you want to layer your balconies with some designer series paper. So those designer series papers are, for the upper piece, are 2 by 2 1/4, and you're going to want 2 of them, okay? And they're going to get put onto your pieces like that. And then you're going to want 2 pieces for the bottom. So those are going to be, for the lower, those are going to be 1 1/4 by 3. And again, you're going to want 2 pieces of those, and those are going to be glued on like that. Okay, that's all of the cutting and scoring for the main part of our card. So let's go ahead and start assembling this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach all of these pieces together using glue. Look, I don't even have my glue out yet. This is how discombobulated I am. So let me grab my glue. Okay, so I'm going to grab these and just put a little stream of glue on there. Don't even have my silicone craft sheet out. I'm a disaster today. Blame it on Dayquil. Okay. That stuff works good though. It's been keeping me alive for the last 5 days. All right, so that's on there. See how pretty that crumb cake just kind of helps that pool party stand out nicely. So there's our first piece. Here is our second piece. And I'm just trying to be mindful that I'm putting them on nice with a nice little border around, and then I'm just laying them back down kind of in the direction I want them in the card, because the way my brain's moving today, I could very well get that messed up. So make sure we do this right. All right, we're going to glue this last layer on here. This is a great way to use your designer series paper as well. Instead of embossing on this pool party, we could use designer series paper on here instead. So you can really do lots of different things with this card, but that's how we're doing this one today. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start attaching these 3 layers onto our card base. So I'm just going to do the same thing and put some liquid glue on here. Make sure we're facing the right way. Okay. That's so pretty. I just love that. So now we're going to open up the inside and we're going to attach our 2 pieces on the inside. Now this card is a little thicker than your normal card, and I'll show you why once we start assembling. You do want to keep that in mind. This may not be a card that you want to make a whole ton of. Maybe you do. I tend to make really extravagant cards for Christmas cards, and I do spend extra postage to do that, but I feel like it's almost like a gift, so I don't mind doing it. But of course you wouldn't want to do that every day or every time you send out a lot of cards, or maybe you have a budget for that. So you do want to be mindful of the postage because this will be a little fatter than a regular card. So I just did want to mention that so that you know. All right, so there's the front, there's the inside. Simple so far. So now we're going to go ahead and start putting together our balconies. So we have these 2 pieces of paper that we embossed, but I like to put these on before I burnish my piece with the bone folder. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on. Just make sure my margins are all about the same. Again, this would be a great use of designer series paper, or you could even use a different color cardstock, or you don't even put that layer on there if you don't want to. That's okay, it's your card. But this is how I'm doing this one, and I feel like that contrast looks really nice. So now I'm going to grab the other piece and do the same thing. I notice I have a little lip on this, so I'm just going to use my bone folder and squish it back down. Sometimes when you cut paper, you get a little edge that kind of sticks up the opposite way. Just use your bone folder to get rid of that. Works really well. All right, now I'm going to lay this piece down. The 2" is at the top, and the 2.5 is the height. I think I had that right. 2 by 2 1/4, sorry. The 2 1/4 is the height, the 2 inches is the width, just so you know that. I always have to think about that, but it will fit the best. So if you're not sure, just whichever way it fits the best is the way it goes. All right, put that on there. So now that we have those glued down, now I'll go ahead and take my bone folder and give those a good squish. And it kind of helps get your paper down too. I just like to do it that way. For me, it's easier to get everything straight. Now, I always push them the opposite way in the middle too, and I'll tell you why in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and do this piece. This is a really easy card. Actually, it just takes you more to do the inside decorating than it takes to actually make the card. Okay, so now that that's done, let me get this out of the way. Now we're going to go ahead and add our inside piece. Now, you want to grab, I'm hoping this holds out, I'm almost empty, some Stampin' Seal Plus. I feel that feel like that's the best way to do this because you want a nice strong stick, and you don't want to have to hold it in place too long. So I use the Stampin' Seal. You could probably use tear and tape, but you want to put that on there nice and evenly across each 1/2 inch edge. And then before you place it down, line your score mark with the score mark of the center of your card. And then make sure your piece is at the bottom of your card. So when everything's even, then go ahead and put your one side down, double check all your seams, and put the other side down, okay? And the reason why you want to do this is because when we close it, it's actually going to be pushed inside and closed this way. So you want to make sure everything is lined up. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with this piece. We're going to go ahead and grab our Stampin' Seal Plus and put it on there. And the great thing is if I get a little wonky, it's okay. I can push those tabs over, so I really like that about this adhesive. All right, so now that's done. So you're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to work at the very bottom of the card. I'm going to make sure my center seams are all lined up and push that down, and then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Excuse me. So there's our balcony. See how nice that looks? And look how beautifully these embossed images show up on this cardstock. It's so pretty. All right, so that's done. So what I did before we came on here is I did a lot of cutting and die cutting and coloring and fussy cutting. So for the front of the card, I decided to create a tag, and this is from the stamp set bundle that I showed you when we started. And then I made another tag here, and these all fit together, and I love when you die cut them, you get the holes. So again, this comes from this is the Season's Greeting stamp, and then I put my dies on magnet sheets, but these are the dies that I used. So that's for the front. So I'm going to add this to the front, and then I die cut in color, well, I fussy cut, there's no dies. I fussy cut, which is super easy, all of the houses. Look how cute they are. So all these houses, and I know you can't see it on here, but I colored all the snowy areas in Wink of Stella, so it has a shimmer to it. But I did all of these, look how cute they are, all of these little houses, and then the trees. And even on the trees, I added a little Wink of Stella to wherever the snow is. And where the snow is just sections that I didn't color in with Mossy Meadow. All right, so that is going to go on the front of our card. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and decide how I want to offset my tag like that. You could do it totally straight, but I always like to do things a little crazy, so I'm going to do it like this. So all I'm going to do is, just since I have my Stampin' Seal Plus out, I'm just going to go ahead and grab it, put a little on there, and pop this on there like that. Now normally I would probably pop this up with dimensionals, but I decided maybe I went a little crazy with this one. I'm going to move it just a little bit. I decided that I wasn't going to add any dimensionals to this because it's already going to be quite a thick card. So keep that in mind. If you add dimensionals to your card, it's going to make it that much bulkier, and it's going to, you know, cost you more postage on top of what you're already going to pay for postage. So it is going to cost a little more. So now I'm going to grab a little piece of this ribbon. This ribbon is so pretty, and I like that it's not fat. I mean, it's not thick. It's just a nice little thin sheer ribbon, but that pop of gold and the cherry cobbler goes really well with this Pool Party. So I was really glad I had that on hand. So I'm just going to pull that through. Just a simple little knot. I can't seem to do anything simple today. And I'm also, you're going to laugh at me, I'm also keeping an eye. My kitchen is right next to me, of course, because I'm in an RV, but I made a double batch of sourdough bagels, and it's been rising all afternoon. It's supposed to have 2 more hours, and it's popping up over the top of my pot. I should put a picture on my blog. It's kind of funny right now, but I'm waiting for it to erupt, and I'm watching it out of the corner of my eye. So right after this video is getting done, I'm going to be making my bagels because I don't think they need 2 more hours. All right, so that's done. So I'm going to pop that right there. I'm gonna just go ahead, we'll just keep going with this Stampin' Seal Plus because I have it here. And I'm just gonna pop it just about right there, easy. And then I noticed that I colored 2 of these houses. So one of these houses is going to go on here, and I think I'm going to do this one because I like the way I colored. I like the shape better of how I cut the snow out, or what I made to be snow. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick this down in the corner. And what I like about doing this is it pulls in what's going to be on the inside of the card. So we're going to embellish it, but that's everything I'm going to do for the front for now. So now we're going to work on the inside. So as I mentioned, when you close it, you just pop it in like that. So when it pops out, that's our balcony. All right, so all you need to do, I like to keep it kind of flat while I'm decorating it, especially since I actually used glue, liquid glue on my other sample, and I'm finding that that might have actually held a little better. So I haven't given it sufficient time really to dry, so that's probably the problem. So what you want to do is kind of lay out your houses, and I'm going to tuck mine, I think, behind. And I just want to make sure they're not gonna, nothing is going to go past the center seam when I'm laying these out. So I like this little piece here with the, I just want to make sure that they're going to look a little different. So maybe I'll put this one over here. And I love this little church, it's so cute. The church over here. And I've got this little house here, maybe I'll put that there. And then I'm going to fill in with the trees. So once I kind of have an idea of where I want to put everything, then all I'm going to do is put a small thread of liquid glue and glue that down. Get it just where I want it. You could also pop these on the front of the edge, but for this card I kind of liked it behind. So I'm just going to keep doing that for each of these pieces. Just like that, and we're creating a little village. I love this church, it's so cute. It reminds me of the church my sister got married in. And I'm just kind of looking to see where everything is falling. I think I'm going to push this one down just a little more. And now we have this little house. I used wild wheat in this house, this little house, and I think it's my favorite one. I like the color and how it came out. Again, just make sure nothing is going to impede that center line. And then once I kind of have them where I think I want them, I'll open my card and see how that looks. That looks really good. Just making sure. Now I'm kind of going to fill in my blank areas. So I have these trees, so I think I definitely want to have a tree here. So I'm going to go for it since this isn't, well, I'll do it just like that. And let's see, maybe we need a tree here behind this little fence. So you just kind of fill it in. I don't ever have a plan for this. I just kind of eyeball it and see where my mind takes me. Okay, now I have one tree left, so I'm going to pop this out again and see where I want to put it. Now I'm kind of happy with it. I could put a tree here and it'll look like there's one next to that house. So maybe I'll do that. And I'm just going to put it on the roof of this house. And then when it's opened, it just kind of all looks, it goes together. Look how cute that is. Now you could put trees down here as well. You can also put words down here. There's so many things you can do. But what I decided I wanted to do is I stamped love from our home to yours, and I'm going to put it right here. But I wanted to use this ribbon again because we used it on the outside. So what I'm going to do is just cut about that much. And then I'm going to grab my glue dots. And I'm going to put one on the end here. And all I'm going to do is fold it over like that. And then I'm going to let it kind of just stick out a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I love that these dies did this because it makes it really cute and really simple to thread your ribbons through these. They also make excellent tags. I will definitely be using tags from this set for my Christmas presents along with the bow builder. I'm going to have a lot of fun making my holiday tags myself this year and not having to buy the plain old regular ones from the store. They'll be homemade. And I love homemade. All right, so that looks good. So now to anchor this exactly where I want it, I'm going to use one more glue dot. And I'm going to pop it underneath. And then I'm going to pull these out so they're centered. And then I'm going to just push that down in the middle, and that just kind of keeps it balanced. All right, and then I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal Plus. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to use some dimensionals. Because this is going to pop up a little more, I think I can get away with dimensionals up here. So let me find them. Here they are. My hodgepodge of dimensionals. We're going to need to start a new sheet. Take your pick tool. And I'm just going to put a few down the middle. Keep it on there. They also help anchor the ribbon down a little bit too, which is nice. Let me do one more. It's a little messier than normal for me, but it's okay. I'm barely hanging on. It's all right. All right, and I'm thinking about my water that's all the way across the rim. I didn't put it next to me, so I think we're doing okay though. All right, so now I'm just going to lay this right here. Just like that. Look how pretty. Now, if you were to close it up, see what happens? So that's why you have to push it inside when you close up the card. So it's going to be a little bulkier than a normal card. That's why you're going to need to consider that extra postage. Or you could make these to hand deliver if you have friends that you're hand delivering a card for. All right, so now let me show you what I meant about those. My grand plan was to use the snowflakes. This was my other sample. And I was going to use these snowflakes. Now, I originally put these snowflakes on with a drop of liquid glue. The next day, I picked them up and you could literally pop them off. So I thought, okay, no problem. So I put a glue dot behind each one. But guess what? They still come right off. And I think it's because of what they're made of. So I'm actually going to take these off and use something else. I have some leftover loose silver sequins from, I don't think this is a current product, but if whatever you have rhinestones would be really pretty. Those are current if you have the rhinestones. I'm going to pop these off. They come off super easy. I'm going to pop them off and just use another glue dot and just, actually you don't even need a glue dot. The rhinestones have adhesive on the back. So I'm just going to put the rhinestones on it. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm just going to flip this card over and I'm going to grab my glue dots. And if you have sequins or you have the diamond embellishments, those would be super pretty. So I am just going to put one on a glue dot and then pop that on there, and that looks just as pretty because it shimmers. So that is what we're going to do. And I'm just going to put them on the front for now. You get the idea, but I'm also going to add them to the inside. Maybe we'll go ahead and do that together. We'll see. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these, and the glue dots fit these perfectly. And I'm just using the putty tip of my take your pick tool to grab them. Put them right on there, and then I use the pointy side to pick them up. So there we go. So that is a nice little bit of shimmer without having that problem of the those snowflakes. I love those snowflakes so much, and I was so bummed out that they just don't hold well to paper. So, and I'm sure on this card, since I embossed the inside, it's probably not even gonna stick. It's gonna stick even worse. So that was a bummer, but I'm glad I could pass that on to you so you don't make the same mistake or have the same problem that I had with those. So those are great those are great items to use if you're going to create a shaker card. In my opinion, they're not great as embellishments on cards. I'm curious to see if you found a way to use those that works better. I'm also curious, I've been looking at the peppermint embellishments that they also have in the catalog, and I'm wondering if those have the same problem. So let me know, leave me a message below if you've used those peppermint embellishments and if they stick well or not, because I'm kind of curious. I haven't ordered them yet, and now I'm kind of worried about, should I even order them? I don't know. So it's very rare that I get a product from Stampin' Up! That I'm not enamored with, and I have to say, I'm not real enamored with the snowflakes. So, all right, this is the last one I'm going to put on here. I just felt like it needed one more. Odd numbers work better, I think. So, okay, I'm going to put these away. So that just gave it a little bit more shimmer. So there's our card. Season's greetings from our home to yours. I love that they also added a stamp that said from my home to yours. So if you're a single person, that stamp might be, better for you. But look how pretty when it's open, and it sits up just like this on the counter. So super pretty, and it closes just like that, and you just slip it right in the envelope. It is a little bulkier though, so you do need to be mindful of the postage. So there's that first card. Here's that card I used with the snowflakes, and you can see the snowflakes are adorable, but as you can see, they come right off. So I will be changing those with by putting something else on the front of those. So we're going to set that one aside. Now here's another card I made. This one is using that same stamp set, and I used the gorgeous gold mercury vellum for the front on the tag. It's so pretty, and it coordinates perfectly with the designer series paper that I used, which is the Seasons of Elegance designer series paper. Love this paper. It comes in 3 shades: cherry cobbler, mossy meadow, which I think also has old olive in it. Oh, and there's pretty peacock, and then there's the crumb cake and the gold. So super, super pretty. It tied in well with the mossy meadow ink and the ribbon that we used in the first card. And then I used the frosted forest dies to create this little tree line here. And look, when you pop it open, I used trucking along and cut out one of the trucks with the tree in the back, and then created like a little tree lot. And I stamped the trees and die cut them, and I used the decorative masks, and on, I think it was mask B, I used craft ink. I brushed craft ink on so it looked like it lightly had snow on it. So I really like how that came out, and I put my tag down here that says Merry Christmas. And then I will probably add a panel to the back here so it can be signed. You'll want to do that on this card as well. I just didn't do it on the video. Actually, you don't need to, because you can write on the back. It is white. This was darker, so I would add crumb cake to this card. So there's our second card. And then our third card is super cute. And I wanted to show you that a stamp set that isn't necessarily a Christmas set can be made a Christmas set. So on this card, I used Coastal Cabana and Basic White and Crumb Cake. And look, I used the Winterly Treetop stamps. I used the coordinating dies. And then I also pulled in the stamps from Peaceful Seasons. So there's that Christmas. Instead of stamping it, I used the 2 layered dies and created this tag with the dies that coordinate. And then of course this little stamp here, this little die here that creates the kind of the frame of leaves is so pretty. And I just did that simply in white. So super pretty. There aren't even any embellishments on the front of this card. It's just, there was plenty with just fussy cutting this bird, popping it on there was enough. But look inside. So when you pop it open, I used the Country Birdhouse, and created a birdhouse and then pulled in those birds from the paper. The designer series paper is so gorgeous, and there's a die that cuts these out. So I went ahead and die cut that. I think there's a die for this one too, but I just fussy cut it. And then added wishing you and yours. And then on the back, and look how pretty it stands up. I know you're looking at it from a camera angle, so there you go. And then on the back, I just added a white panel and then stamped thinking of you with warm feelings and a wish for all the merriest. So super pretty card. So there are 3 ways to make that card, 3 ways to have a masterpiece on somebody's mantle. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And an easy fun fold that you can use all year round. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already so that you get notification of all my videos. I also have a link below to my blog that has my online store and all of the cutting and scoring dimensions that you need to create this card. I thank you so much for bearing with me. I can feel my voice going now. So I will sign off for now, and I will see you next Wednesday. I hope you have a fabulous day and you get a chance to craft today. See you later.